G'day listeners, welcome to Bar Karate, the sailing podcast. Bar Karate, where we are 100% serious 50% of the time.
Correction, 28% of the time. I've been putting it out there just to get a bit of a feeling, and it's gone down to 28%.
Oh, right, well, we'll try and be more serious.
The stats man. Stats man's in.
So Bar Karate, it's another week. We're excited to be broadcasting again. We've got a great show. Today is the Brett Perry special, we're calling it. He is so excited. So we're going to introduce Nick Bice first so we can both pay out on BP when we introduce him. Bicey, where are you?
Buongiorno ragazzi.
Hey!
In the World Beer Tour, beer tasting tour continues. I'm at my third boat show within the last week.
Yeah.
And we're in the old sailing town of Genoa.
Correct.
Italy.
Correct.
Lovely place.
And we are actually sitting next to each other.
It is a lovely place.
All right, we'll better introduce BP because...
Drum roll, please.
Yeah. Here it comes. BP, you're excited today, aren't you, mate?
I am excited today, although it does remind me of 2013. This very edition of the Mini Transat has been postponed. We'll go through a little bit that a little bit later on in the show. But yes, Sunday night's a bit easier for me. Sunday morning last week was a bit rough. So anyway, back to normal here. So it's all good.
All right. Well, let's get straight into it. So Bicey said he and I are sitting here in Genoa, and the question. Bicey had an interesting discussion the other day. Where does the name the Genoa come from?
Well, so Johan Celine, the one of the owners of the ocean race, was telling me that his grandfather's brother, so great uncle, was one of the first people to actually roll out a Genoa overlapping headsail in a regatta which was taking place here, and it got called the Genoa. So I called absolute bullshit on this. I thought some Swede was trying to pull the wool over my eyes, and I just corrected it as much. No, I said, no, that is not. This is something I would make up, Johan. Just leave the funny shit to me from now on, if you don't mind. And, proved completely wrong.
Yeah.
It is 100% correct.
Yep, in Wikipedia.
Wow.
Famous Swedish sailor and ship owner Sven Salin from 1890-1969 first used the Genoa on his 6-metre R yacht, May B, in the 26 Copa di Terno in Genoa, and hence the name. So Johan wasn't lying.
No, he wasn't lying at all.
That's pretty cool.
I guess he's going to next claim that saline is so close to sailing. That's why I call it that as well.
That's just like JoJo. BP, mate, you should see the boat shows in Europe. How good do they do a boat show here in Europe?
Mate, I tell you.
Well, I have been to a couple. I
know.
I did live there for 10 years. So, yes, I do miss them. And the Southampton in particular was one of the ones I frequented. Genoa I haven't been to, but it's definitely the Sydney one's coming up again next year, so we'll see how that goes.
Wow. And I must say here in Genoa, if you haven't got a rib that has at least 3 or 4 250 horsepower engines on the back, you're no one.
You're no one.
You're not part of the game.
Sustainability.
I've seen some pretty full-on ribs out there, I tell you.
So,
that's it. Yeah.
Speaking of sustainability, Jordan, we were walking around the boat show yesterday noticing these ribs, but actually what were you doing here in Genoa?
I was hosting a sustainability discussion, innovation workshop for the boat building and marine industry on trying to work out better and more sustainable ways to reduce waste and recycle, reuse.
How'd it go? Did anyone take the piss out of you while the whole show took place?
No. You were in there. You were actually quite good, Bicey. I've got to say, I was glad you were in the room. You were actually pretty good. I put you into it a couple of times.
The master heckler.
No, he was really good, Bicey. Actually, really some good information. We've actually come up with a couple of genius ideas. I actually said, I've got to be honest, I'm not going to give it away, but when we were doing the planning beforehand, I said, we're looking for the genius idea in the room. There's somebody in this room that's going to have the genius idea. We don't want the same stuff. And I think it came from Bicey.
I won't gloat, though. I'll give it at least another week before it goes into fruition.
In the debrief afterwards, I just said, who thought the genius idea had come from Bicey?
Yeah. That's why they got the experts in.
Boys, I had a genius idea of my own. you know the Ginga Challenge.
Here we go.
Here we go. I've decided that the best way to market the Ginga Challenge is go and visit all the hairdressers and let them know. So we have to communicate with all the hairdressers around town.
Mate, what you could do, set up a tap and go station.
Exactly.
In the hairdressers.
Yeah.
So once they pay, every Ginga puts in $2.
This idea came to me while I was at the barber, and I pitched him the Ginga show, the Ginga idea. And he sort of reminded me that redheads were thought to bring bad luck on a ship. So supposedly, if you happen to encounter one before boarding, you have bad luck. But the trick is, if you speak to them first, then you're saved.
So you'd be no good. No one could get a word in sideways.
Pot kettle black, mate. So...
You blokes, when you guys get together, you have too much time on your hands, I tell you.
We do have a good time. And there was Almost Famous.
What happened in the in the barber, actually? Go on.
You'll love this, BP. So the old barber is cutting my hair and he's going, you ever been told you look like Jim Courier?
Poor man's version.
I said, you're the poor man's version of Gerard Butler, mate. And he chuckled because he had the full Scottish accent. It was quite funny. I reckon he'd style himself on Gerard Butler. But, you had your own famous story, BP, Almost Famous. Tell us about that.
Which one are we heading for there, my friend?
Well, wasn't it down at the CYC the other day and someone's questioned, do you know those guys from bar karate? Do you know that guy?
Do you know Brett Berry?
Do you know that guy, Brett Perry?
Oh, sorry. Yes, you threw me there for a sec because you guys are obviously sitting there together. You've planned all this, and I in stories that go on during the week, they're in one sort of, they don't get stored very often.
Enough excuses, BP.
Yes. This is true. This is very true. I was walking out of the CYC after sailing on last week, and I walked out, and these guys got out of a car and they came running towards me. It was a mate of mine. I said, "Scotty, how are you, mate? Yeah, all good. Yeah, good. We're chatting about my ex. Obviously, was on the hard there, so they had a little chat about the boat. And
sorry, mate, I could have gone somewhere with that.
Yeah, good one. And so we're chatting away, and for some reason we started talking about bar karate, and the second guy who I hadn't met. Said, we do a podcast, bar karate, and he looked at me and said, do you know Brett Perry? And I went, yeah, mate, I am Brett Perry. And it was quite funny.
From the body of the same name?
I didn't quite know what to say. Yeah, that's it. So I got the pen out and signed his shirt.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, of course. Can you sign my breast?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Almost Famous.
No go. But yeah, Almost Famous, yes.
Hey, we're recognised over here in the Genoa Boat Show. How's that? It's just, we're not recognised physically, but the conversation about bar karate is flowing around. And speaking of,
I think that's it. I think that's it, isn't it? We're podcasters. We're not TV stars. So that's
great.
What's that?
Lucky for the world. Oh, well, mate, let's get serious now because I noticed our percentage of seriousness has dropped away while we've been talking.
Yeah, we just got down to 14%.
Yeah. It's an exciting time for you because obviously the Mini Transat's about to start. We've got a lot to talk about. We've had we've got an awful lot to talk about. And your idea was we're going to talk to the lovely, wonderful young Pip Hare, offshore sailor, Mini 650 sailor, IMOCA sailor. So she's our special guest. And she is in sunny England right now where it is absolutely pouring rain. I can hear it. Pip, welcome to bar karate.
Hello, thank you. I've learned an awful lot in the last 5 minutes. That's been amazing.
Yeah, well, that's generally when you learn it. It's from downhill from here, trust me.
Why, were you not listening to our intro? You were listening to something else? How rude.
Lucky you heard your call to come in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, good on you. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. So Pip Hare we have on the show today. Pip Hare is, one of probably the most highly respected sailors in the UK going around at the moment, I'd have to say. Have a little bit of history together, Pip and I. She actually was a part of one of my mini projects many years ago. Pip, to give you a little bit of a background, is a legend solo or short-handed sailor from the UK. Pip, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you. Slightly embarrassed by that introduction, if truth be known.
Yeah, that's our job.
Yeah. Good job, PP.
So listen, look, we decided to get you on the show for a couple of reasons. Obviously, you're pushing for your Vendée Globe, which we'll talk about a bit later on. But I'd love to really go through the Mini Transat. Now, the Mini Transat was supposed to start today, as we all know, those in the know, but it's been postponed. So I'd like to talk about the Mini Transat. And you did 2011 and 2013, which is where we met. Let's talk about the Mini Transat a bit. So what is it like? What goes into it? Let's talk about the boats. What are they? Because there's a lot of people who don't know them. Where does the race go? And let's just talk about it.
So the Mini Transat is, I mean, in my opinion, it's probably one of the best solo ocean races out there. It's run every 2 years, and it goes from France to somewhere across the Atlantic with a stop in between. Yeah, it changes depending on the year. So my first one went from La Rochelle to Madeira and then finished in Brazil. And then my second one was supposed to go from Brittany in France to the Canary Islands and finish in Guadeloupe. But as I'm sure we'll go on to discuss, it didn't quite work out like that. But it's an incredible race. They're 21-foot boats. They range from quite old boats to absolute cutting-edge performance. The largest fleet I sailed in was 84 competitors. And it's some of the most awesome racing I've ever done.
Yeah, look, and I can vouch for that. I'm not one to actually have done the race, but I come at it from a different level in terms of actually being a part of a project that got a boat onto the start line, in which you were either unlucky or lucky enough to sail in one of the races. I don't know which to say. Probably unlucky because the auto helm failed on you.
Yeah, I did an 800-mile race in the Mediterranean, and my autopilot failed like about 12 hours out, and I did the whole race in a heat wave with no autopilot. But I was until I completely lost it with hallucinating and all sorts. I was caning the fleet on my own without an autopilot. It was awesome.
You were, and I can tell you, I was watching the tracker and I'm going, she's doing so well, because that particular race was our first ever race in the RG 650, which was the project that I was involved in. And I was watching you coming towards coming back up into the finish, and you just sort of turned right, and I'm going, oh, what's going on?
Going round for another lap.
Obviously, yeah. Yeah. Well,
didn't quite get enough.
Let's just say I think she was pretty tired, but all forgiven. There's no stress there. But let's just talk. If you don't mind, Pip, could you just talk about the boats a little bit, because I know a lot about the boats because I've obviously was involved in the project. But talk about the boats.
So the boats are 21 foot long, and then they are 3 meters wide. And there are two classes. So there's a proto class and a series class. So the series class are sort of more production style boats. You have to make sell at least 10 hulls to get into the series class. The protos can be one-offs. I mean, they're crazy little boats. There's absolutely nothing inside them, zero. They carry a ridiculous amount of sail area. The new prototypes were the first places that we were seeing foils on offshore boats. And so you tend to get the very leading edge of innovation and design in the prototypes. But actually, it's the series class that is really where you find a lot of close quarters competitive racing, and loads of the up and coming solo sailors from Europe are cutting their teeth in the series class now.
So, Pip,
it's
Bicey here.
Go on, Nick.
Quick, from a boat point of view, obviously the price could vary quite a bit, like especially with these the class where there's no limit. Is there any sort of restriction from that point of view, or you can just do whatever you want?
No, they try to restrict bits and pieces. So, for example, we're not allowed to have any SATCOMs on the boat. The only communication you're allowed is between boats on VHF radio, and then when you're racing every day, you have a a forecast that is broadcast via SSB radio, which you might or might not pick up. I was finding when I was racing that my autopilot was interfering with the reception on the SSB, so it was particularly difficult to pick up the forecast on regularly on any one day. I sort of ended up having to hand steer the boat and then trying to hold a dictaphone next to my SSB receiver at the same time, all trying to shelter them from water, getting a forecast that was sort of, the interesting thing was that the French version of the forecast was 40 minutes and the British one was 10. So,
well, I guess lucky the boats are only 21 foot long. You could hand steer and hold the dictaphone at the HF radio, no problem.
Yeah, you're kind of just out there on your own. So in that way, they're trying to restrict the budget there. But I think certainly within the proto class, there aren't too many restrictions. So yeah, you throw a lot of money at it, you're going to get quite a significantly better boat than someone with lower budget.
Cool.
It's probably worth at this stage to discuss the differences. So the prototype is a rule that basically allows you to do whatever you want. You can have canting keels, you can have canting masts, you can have carbon built boats. You can do whatever you want within that box rule of the size, weight, depth, and sail area. And then the production rule, which is the series version, is based around GRP and aluminium rig and stainless rigging. So that's the difference. So. Well worth putting that out there.
Yeah, and I guess the big thing as well between the series and the proto is, if you get into a production boat, if you get a series boat, then all of the spares are off-the-shelf spares, so they're fairly easy to get hold of. I mean, I used to burn through spinnaker poles, bowsprits quite regularly, and it's just a section of aluminium tubing, whereas on the prototype, when you start breaking stuff, you're looking at custom build.
Mm.
Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
What I'm interested in is, so this leg that was supposed to start today but's been delayed because of weather, it's going from La Rochelle to Gran Canaries and then to Marin Bay, which is in Martinique. So that's a long way. That's seriously, that's a few thousand miles across the Atlantic. In a 21-foot boat with nothing in it, no satellite, none of that. Do you get nervous going out to sea and that thing, over canvas, the whole thing? Like, are you lunatics?
Well, probably no, actually. I guess the thing you've got to remember about these minis is that's what they were designed for. They were designed to sail across an ocean. And so actually, in terms of all the boats I've been offshore in, I've probably felt safest in my Mini. And also, you end up, in some stupid situations with, too much sail up, heading downwind, crash jibe, real stupid stuff. But actually, because the boat is only 21 foot, it's actually quite easy to get yourself out of some bad situations, and it's all about, to get into the race itself, there's quite a lot of qualifications. So you've got to sail 1,000 miles on your own, and you've got to do 1,000 miles of racing on top of that. So the idea there is that everybody who starts on that line has built up the skills and the confidence to get them across an ocean. I wouldn't say I was ever nervous in the boat. I mean, it definitely, there's a lot of adrenaline going when you really start pushing it, but it feels really sound. It's a great ocean going boat.
I kind of imagine it wouldn't be a huge amount of fun upwind, but it looks like it would be a ton of fun downwind.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Upwind in one of those things is about the most awful upwind. Actually, no, I don't think it's. So I think a worse upwind experience would be sailing in the Golden Globe. I have to put that out there. But yeah, upwind in the Mini it's slow and it's wet, and oh my word, they just slam and slam and slam.
Wow.
So is that one of the key reasons that they've delayed this particular start, or the start that back in 2013, a big upwind leg in plenty of breeze?
So I think that the reason that we had so many issues in 2013, and I think this is an ongoing thing that they're going to have to deal with at some point, is that we couldn't find a weather window big enough to get past Finisterre. So the route goes wherever it starts in France. It takes, the traditional route when you exit Northern Europe. So you come across the Biscay and then you go past Finisterre where the continental shelf comes in, and generally the low pressure systems will track to Finisterre. So you get a massive amount of ocean swell pushed by a big system, and then they start breaking off Finisterre, and it's just a really awful place to be. And the problem in 2013 was that on all routing that the race committee did, they thought they needed, I can't remember exactly, I think they said they thought they needed a window of something like 6 days to get the whole fleet past Finisterre, because the fastest proto was gaining something like 50 miles on the slowest series boat upwind from the start of the race. And that just makes the race more difficult to manage. And the part that they're most worried about is getting everybody out of the Biscay.
Yeah. Well, it's not called the Bay of Certain Death for nothing, I guess.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
BP, you got one?
Look, 2013 in the end actually was delayed for one whole month. I remember they moved it from La Rochelle to further north, didn't they, up to Brittany? And so they not only moved it further north, made that leg longer, they moved it a month later. The start was actually later than it usually is.
A month?
So
mate,
we were getting so close.
My whole mini campaign, I would have done my whole budget within that month. The bars would have been happy.
well, I can tell you, I was supporting my guy Richard Hewson on the RG 650, and Pip, you can sort of vouch for this. It was about a month, and it was a long period of waiting, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it was just, yeah. I mean, I've never experienced anything like it. It was so difficult, because I mean, just from the beginning, I had like loads of my mates had come across from the UK. So I'd done 2011 and the start went on time, and it was an amazing event with like hundreds of thousands of people there watching. And then in Douarnenez, a few people turned up. We kind of did a little bit of a trip round the bay to show them, and then they all went home, and we stayed and we stayed and we stayed, and they sort of had a system where it was like we were on red, yellow, green alert, and of course all the French guys, they could just go home. So they all went home and carried on with life. And then there's all the Europeans and obviously Rich, and anybody who couldn't just go home was just stuck in Douarnenez, and we were all sort of bunking up in shared houses, all trying to live off as cheap food as we could, just slowly getting more and more and more worried about the time frames and what was going to happen. It was a really difficult couple of weeks. And then of course they'd started the race 2 weeks in. They started the race on the back of a really big system that had come across. So we all went out into some big swell. There was still 4 meter waves, which, a 4 meter wave in a boat that's only 7 meters long, that's quite significant. So we went out into that, and there was quite a lot of damage in the first 24 hours. And then it was about 36 hours into the race. And of course, like I said, we don't have SATCOMs or anything. We're all on VHF. So this rumour started going around the fleet on VHF radio that the race had been cancelled. And you kind of didn't know whether to believe whoever was calling you. It's like, well, are they trying to get me to go what's going on? And so this sort of the fleet was quite split up already, and this sort of Chinese whisper went around the fleet, and some people went to Sada on the Spanish coast, some people went to Ijon on the Spanish coast, some people just carried on going to the west, heading for America. It was just the most bizarre thing. And then we all got corralled in Ijon in Spain, and literally a whole heap of mini sailors turned up there, and we were all in racing trim. So we had nothing with us, because they take your phones away from you at the start, and of course you're just wearing your sailing clothes. So we all just turned up there, and we're all just walking around in our thermals. nobody had any shoes, and nobody had any phones. You know, we got our passports, and that was it. It was completely bizarre.
It was a strange experience for sure, and actually the race did get cancelled and started again from just around the corner a few days later. And that was actually the hard part, is manoeuvring that fleet to that next part of the race. And anyway, that was then. This is now. So the same thing's going on in La Rochelle at the moment. They're waiting, I believe, for the weather to. I think they've said they were going to look at it tonight, or now our time. So we'll see what pans out from that.
Well, I've got two questions. First off, which would you much rather sail, a series boat or a prototype?
Well, do you know what? I've only had experience in series boats. Both of my races were in series. Yep. I think I definitely I love the Mini Transat. It is the most incredible race, and I will do another one. I'm getting a bit old probably, but who cares? It's the kind of race you can do at any point in your life. And I think the next one I'd like to do it in a proto.
Okay, cool.
It's a first.
There you go. You heard it first on Baccarati.
That's cool. And who should we watch out in this event, in this current version that's about to go, or at some stage? Who's the favourites?
To be honest, I couldn't tell you. I've had my head out of the fleet
IMOCA
for a while,
world.
so it wouldn't be fair.
Fair enough. Cool. Shall we ask about some BP? Am I pushing too quickly? Should we ask about some IMOCA stuff, or is there more 650 we want to talk about? Let me ask you a question,
it's all good.
BP.
I think we... Go on.
Do you think we should have 650s in the Southern Hemisphere?
Yes.
I have always...
You're missing out.
Thank you, Pip. Yes. And I think this is a really good conversation that I wanted to bring up. We've just had a big push in the last few months with the short-handed situation with the Sydney Hobart, and we saw cows, how popular the short-handed was. Now, obviously, the 650s are not eligible to do Hobart, but these boats are just fantastic ocean boats, and I'd love for the Southern Hemisphere to get hold of them. We do have a few of us go up there and get involved in the racing, and but it's just the French and the English, they absolutely love it, and I think that we would really take to it. So yes, that is the answer.
We've had a couple from Oz, right? With
can I just add something to that?
Yep, go.
So Nick Maloney did it early 2000s, I think, and Tom Braidwood had a crack as well, didn't he? Liz Wardley's had we've had a few.
But not in Australia.
And Richard Hewson was on. Yeah.
What were you going to say, Pip?
Just that, one of the questions lots of people ask me is, how do you get into solo racing? Because the biggest issue is getting a boat, isn't it? For everybody, it's getting a boat. And actually, the 650 is a really great route into solo sailing, because you can buy the older series boats. Okay, in the grand scheme of things, they're not competitive, but they get you going. You learn the techniques. You actually discover what it's like to be out there on your own. And the thing with something like the Mini Transat is there is competition throughout the fleet. You've got 80 boats, so you're always going to find somebody to race.
I was going to say, Jordan, you'd be able to get into the single-handed stuff. One of the prerequisites could be you don't have any friends.
Yeah. How did I know that's where that was going?
Actually, it's one of those things that struck me was the camaraderie amongst the fleet. When you get up there, being an Australian, we were sort of just accepted. And one of the other things that you notice as well, that the budgets are so different. You have a lot of people, it's their dream to do it, and especially a lot of the younger guys and girls, they actually stay on their boats, and you can see them with their 2-minute noodles. You can see them saving every penny, and then you've obviously got the professionals at the top. So, but it's a great fleet, and I would love to see more of the Southern Hemisphere people get involved for sure. What
would the budgets be from low end to the full pro, no expense spared?
Oh, looks. Some of the older series boats you can get for, some of them you can get for 10,000 euros. You can get really cheap boats. Mind you, you have to work on them. The RG that I did, for example, was, I guess once you're sailing, was probably around about 80,000 euros, brand new. But then you go right up to the protos. They can be spending up to 250,000 euros. So it's a big step. It's a big step in the fleet.
Gee, Pip, we can still hear that rain. It must be horrendous where you are. It's quite credible.
It's got even worse. It is just. I'm quite happy to be doing this right now, actually, because I don't have to be on my boat.
Good. Well, speaking of your boat, you are now targeting the Vendée Globe, 2020 Vendée Globe. You've got an IMOCA. Do you want to? You've got it's just been launched, the latest super duper thing with foils coming out the side. I'm assuming. No.
Something like that. Yeah, not quite.
No. Tell us about your boat. Tell us what you think about the IMOCA class, and let's hear a bit about that because we love this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just. I mean, I can't believe how this year has panned out. You know, when I first started solo sailing, I had the Vendée was my dream. You know, that was where I wanted to go, but. You know, it's really difficult to work out how you get there. It's so, difficult to find a boat, to find your first step in that class. And so, for the last 10 years, I've been steadily trying to work towards it. And then at the beginning of this year, my boat became available to charter on a really, really reasonable charter fee. So it's an old boat. It was built in year 2000 for Bernard Stam, who of course is an absolute solo legend. It's been around the world 4 times. It was actually designed by a mini designer, Pierre Roland. And the last time it went around the world was in the 2016 Vendée with Alain Rohrer, who's also a mini sailor, because minis are amazing. And so I got my hands on it at the beginning of this year. And although I didn't have a title sponsor signed, it all happened quite quickly. I decided, what the hell, I'm gonna try and make this work in whatever way I can. And I've been training and racing in it since the beginning of this year, just learning an incredible amount. And I was lucky enough to sail with Paul Larson in the Fastnet, which was amazing. And my next race starts really soon, in just over a month's time. It's the TJV double-handed from France to Brazil. But yeah, I mean, I can't believe that I'm here. It's incredible.
Who have you got for the TJV, Pip?
So in the TJV, I am sailing with Hammy Baker, who is a young British sailor who was part of the Artemis Academy. He's done 2 Figaros, and he was part of the Vendée 2020 vision, which was looking to find funding for an up-and-coming British sailor to do the Vendée. So he's had IMOCA experience. And yeah, he flies over. He lives in Northern Ireland, and he's flying over next week, and we're going to start our preparations next week.
Oh, great. Yeah, best of luck.
Thank you.
I'm guessing
awesome.
I'm guessing with your boat, you're hoping for an upwind course.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's.
Well, I was just about to say that you actually turned some heads in the Fastnet when you were punching out in front of the fleet, and that was really exciting for everyone. I think you got some big comments there.
Oh, we did. I mean, just that whole race was. I mean, for me, it was. Oh, it was just incredible. We went into it, if we just sort of take a step back and look at the IMOCA fleet as a whole, as you said, Hugo Boss just launched the latest generation foiling boats. You would never put my boats next to their boats and say those 2 boats are going to race each other, because they're so completely different. And in reality, I think there's a reasonable chance that boats like mine won't be able to race in the Vendée in 2024, because, the differential between the speeds of the 2 are just so enormous. But in the Fastnet, I was sailing with Lasso, and we went into it realistically, and our objective was just to be able to hold our heads up at the end, to know that we'd done the best we could with the boat. We considered that we were only lining up against the non-foiling boats. We were the oldest boat in the fleet. So we sort of set our markers, and we said, yeah, if we're up with them, we're doing well, and if we're up with them, we're doing well. And we got to sort of midnight on the first night and had a look at the tracker, and it's like, okay, we're second on the water and leading the IMOCA fleet. And sometimes you look at a tracker and it just gets out of whack, doesn't it? Because it sort of gives a false idea. It's all done on run line, and it says you're ahead and you're not really ahead. And we got to the morning and sort of through the night we ended up leading the entire Fastnet, like even the Volvo 70 and Rambler 88 and stuff. And then by the morning we were still leading the IMOCA fleet on the water, and we could actually see them behind us, and it was unreal, absolutely unreal. And yeah, we caused a bit of a stir. I think we might have ruffled a few French feathers.
Yeah, awesome. And Lasso did say that he, once the conditions settled into for the new boats, they generally just came flying past you, and it was a bit of a sight to behold, he said.
Oh, it was great, and it was literally just as we were sort of turning the corner to the Scillies, and we could see. So Chirao was coming in from the south, a much sort of much more open angle than the other guys who'd actually tapped in, and they were beating behind us, and we could see daylight between Chirao's hull and the ocean. It was flying in, and it's a bit weird, and I suppose it's going to be like that if you watch Hugo Boss go past, because they came past close-ish to us, probably about a mile away from us, but there was nobody on deck. You could see nothing. It was just this black sort of stealth drone or whatever going past. It was just there's nobody there. But also the same with Bank Pop, even though they're not foiling, they came past, and because everybody's undercover, we couldn't see anybody. They were really close, and there was nobody on deck or anything.
Didn't even get a wave.
It was only when Initiative, it was only Sam Davies and Paul Mayat who actually came out on deck. They were the first people we saw, and they gave us a good old wave, which was great. But yeah, it's incredible watching them. They are machines.
I've heard Alex has installed like a big rubber hand that just comes out when he goes past people. Just presses a button and it extends out of the deck.
Yeah, like the old-fashioned 1920s trucks
with a GB UK flag hanging off of it.
Is it looking like that?
Yeah.
So Pip, one of the things about your whole campaign, obviously, you said you didn't have a major sponsor yet. So you're doing it with you've got a volunteer program. You have a little bit of crowdfunding. So that must be something pretty special to see all those people coming and putting their time and effort into.
Oh, do you know what? It actually just, without sounding too sloppy about it, I'm just staggered by the amount of people who just want me to get there. I think partly, the British people love an underdog, and I do that quite well, so that's all right. But I've had the boat at the Southampton Boat Show for the last 10 days, and we have had thousands of people on the boat, and we're letting them on the boat. And first of all, they're like, "What? I'm allowed to get on board?" And I'm like, yeah, come on board, come and have a look, because part of what I really want to do is try and open. I'm really passionately trying to make sailing a bit more available to mainstream. Because the Vendée Globe itself, it's a huge endurance event. It's 3 months of endurance sport, and there's a massive human element in there. And sure, sailing is what we love, and sailing is the vessel that allows us to do this sport. But as a human endeavour, it's enormous. And so by sort of letting people onto the boat, see where I'm going to spend 3 months of my life, it really makes them go, makes them engage with it. And yeah, it's just. Yeah, no,
Pip,
I can tell you that.
I'll butt in here. I think.
Go on.
I don't think they sort of think too much other than you're nuts.
There's been a lot of that, actually.
Actually, there's a while you're there, Pip, just keep your eye out. There's a huge fan of Barkarati roaming around. The chairman of Ronston is roaming around there at the moment. He's got a Barcarati hat on, so just keep your eye out for him. He's
Oh, okay. Well, I've got some Ronston kit on my boat, so maybe you should come and see me.
Yeah, Alistair. If you're listening, he'll be listening. We'll just he's mad for this show. He's a great man. So good one to have a drink.
Alistair, do us a favour. Go and see Pip Hare, please.
I'll make you jet boiled tea. There you go.
So Pip, let's do you the favour here. If people want to find out about your campaign or get involved, where should they go?
So I've got all the usual social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, and it's Pip Hare Ocean Racing. And then I've got a website, which is piphareoceanracing.com.
Fantastic.
Do you own a rabbit? Call it Pip?
No.
It'd be confusing at home, wouldn't it? All right.
Yeah.
So now you're an expert on the IMOCA class. We just had azimut happening. So 21 boats sailing around doing that 665 mile race, basically a big triangle. Did you watch any of that?
Yeah, I've sort of kept up to date with bits of it, and it's interesting. That I was surprised actually that Bank Pop came in where they did. I thought they were going to do better than that, but we also have an IMOCA WhatsApp group, and there's interesting learnings on there.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. Oh, bet you a lot of people want to be on that.
Hey, Pip, do you reckon you could get us into that? That would be cool.
I must admit, the first time I got joined to it, and there was a message came through from any number, like Jeremy BU puts a message up there, and I can't stop looking at it. It's like, I've got a message from Jeremy BU on my phone.
But I need to translate it. Damn it.
So Bank Pop got 6 for those who haven't sort of checked. So wasn't too far behind. Just looking at the timings, it's crazy how close everything was. They were 4 hours off the lead, I guess.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, Sherelle came first. So Sherelle, then PRB with 11th hour. Though. So Charlie Enright on his first
debut.
On his debut. What did you think about that?
Wow, that's a good result. Excellent.
Yeah, it's not bad going.
Not bad going. He's a determined little monkey, old Charlie. He's certainly very keen to do very well. So, and I think they're well funded, and they've got their ideas worked out. I think they're going to go all right.
I think that the TJV is going to be an incredible race.
Yeah.
Because there's 34 of us setting off for the TJV, and not one of the latest generation boats has done a transatlantic yet. Because of course Sherelle set off for the Route de Rhum, but didn't make it across. So I think it's going to be an incredible race.
And I think we all remember what happened 4 years ago also with the new generation boats at that point in time. They didn't make it too far.
Yeah, and traditionally, leaving across the Biscay at that time of year, I think everyone is bracing themselves for a bit of a kicking.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there'll be a few nervous people on that dock, I would expect. And some designers as well.
So that departs 27th of October.
Yeah, that's right.
So given the history of the 2013 race, the Minis might only just be leaving then as well.
Yeah. We just have to make sure we don't kebab them as we go through.
Oh, gee, we have too many laughs. So just on the azimut, they're just doing speed runs now. They're having some sort of promotional thing where you can go and jump on, and they're doing just blatant speed runs. So obviously great for video and great for photos. So we're going to see some super cool photos coming off there in the next couple of days.
Well, I think, and we did see a whole heap coming off from Wednesday or Thursday's speed run. Yeah. Which is basically that's going to be the create all the posters for up and coming. And Sherelle was kind of held that since last year, but now we're seeing the likes of the new boats coming out and just cranking the angles up and getting the boats fully out of the water. It's pretty cool.
So Pip, I've got this thing. So with the ocean race, Bicey and I were involved with the ocean race on the organisation side the last few times. We have these import races. I don't know. Have you ever been along for the imports?
No, I haven't actually. No.
So we put on a show in front of the crowd. So they do the legs, and then they have the import races. And obviously with the IMOCA 60s, you've got all your foily things sticking out the side.
Keely foily things
sticking out the side of these boats. So like close quarter inshore fleet racing doesn't work. It's going to be stupid. Like people are going to crash into each other and bits are going to go off. So I've proposed, this is a race idea I've had for years, like 30 years. Have you ever watched pursuit racing on a bicycle, on the track? Do you know that stuff?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So this is my idea for future sailing, particularly with all the foiling stuff. You set up a pursuit course. So you set your course up with the start line. You've got the wind coming from, if you're looking straight up and down, and then you would start with one boat going one way on a reach and the other boat going the other way. So one boat goes on a slightly broad reach, one boat goes on a slightly tight reach, and they chase each other around in a circle and finish exactly like the pursuit does on the cycling. So you tack at one end, jibe at the other end, and no one's going to hit each other, and it's just who can go the fastest and fly the boat the quickest. And it should be, an elimination series. Why are you laughing, BP? It works.
Mate,
it works.
A J-Dog pursuit race.
I'm just watching you on the screen, and you're just going drawing all these hand signals and stuff, and I'm loving it.
Bar karate, mate.
I'm just. Yeah, I know, it's great.
So I've got a solution for the IMOCA fleet for doing some import racing where it could be, the crowd would be able to understand it too. It's super easy to understand. Elimination.
I think it has some legs.
Has some serious legs. What do you think?
I don't know, that sounds like it'll work.
Yeah.
And you're dead right, because I mean, the most terrifying thing I've done in IMOCA so far was my first ever solo start. And I was just absolutely terrified of hitting someone's foils. It's just nuts. It's bonkers. Yeah.
So there we go. We've got the solution. I reckon we'll see a bit of it. What else should we have?
Bar karate run.
Bar karate run. Yeah, it'll be the bar karate special promoted. So Pip, I was just going to say, with Transat Jacques Vabre, the TJV, what do we have to do to make you win? How can we help?
Steal me somebody else's boat, maybe.
We'll chat to a few people.
So I'm not going to win, I'm afraid to tell you.
We're not worried about that.
But thanks for the vote of confidence.
No. We'll make you win.
We
could deal
well,
with
in
this.
which case, maybe scuba diver in Le Havre with a drill. How's that work?
No.
Probably a really interesting question. So out of all these boats that are coming out, which one is your most favourite at the moment?
Good question.
Good question. I mean, you can't help but be impressed by Hugo Boss, can you? I mean, it's just otherworldly. And we spent a bit of time I took my boat over to Gosport a couple of weeks ago, and literally, we were in the dock next to them, and just looking at it from every angle, just even in on the, it's wild. But actually, do you know what? I like Chiral, and yeah, I think just because it's got that much more time behind it, I think that's the one to watch for TJV.
Yep.
Time on the water. You cannot beat time on the water.
Yeah.
So.
We're still interested in Alex's foils on the Hugo Boss. We're interested how they look. I'm surprised he didn't paint them pink. He's got all the other bits of his boat. He's got pink bits all over his boat. I would have thought that'd look kind of cool.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. And of course, the for us, Pip, with our Ginga Challenge proposal, the idea of a fully enclosed boat, for the Gingers, that's
mate,
it's a dream. It's a dream.
Absolutely, you never get sunburnt.
Well,
Could you imagine that downstairs?
all the pasty skin, all clear.
But-
Doesn't matter, we're down below.
Or we could just do the racing around England because you'll never get sunburnt there.
Sunburn
either.
anyway.
What's your Pip?
Not at the moment, by the
definitely
sounds.
not, yeah. And I tell you what, there's going to be a really big difference between what Alex looks like when he finishes the Vendée and what I look like, because I have to do everything outside. I have to go to the mast to reef my sail. I'm going to look like I'm 90 and he's going to look like he's anemic.
Wearing a suit.
That's why I did it. Oh,
Love it.
all right, Pip. I think
Listen,
we're...
Pip,
Go, BP.
yeah,
You
look,
say it.
I just want to just give you all of the best of luck, and we'll be following you. You're one of our favourites for sure. So that's what I'm going to say. How about that?
Thank you very much. That's amazing. And thanks for letting me chat.
Amazing, Pip. We love it. We'll keep a close eye on you. Good luck for TJV and get out there.
Pip, just because we have never met, you and Vicey and I have never met you. So if you're at a yacht club and you see two idiots and you think, I wonder if that's with Aussie accents.
Jim Courier.
Fair chances.
There's fair chance it's us. So come and say good day.
Okay, I'll remember that.
All
right. Cheers, guys.
See you, champ. Love your work.
See you, Pip.
Bye.
Good on you, Pip. Cheers.
Oh, that was good. That was really good. She's get behind her. I didn't know anything about her, and good on you, BP. Good choice, mate. Love your work.
Yeah, look, I mean, I forgot to mention during the chat to her, she actually writes for Yachting World as well, and she's right up on writing about all of the basics of getting out on the water, helping people. She's just, and everyone just speaks to her about sailing, and she just doesn't push anyone away. She's a fantastic person, and honestly, we wish her the best. Yeah,
good man. That's how we're always positive on Bar Karate. That's one of our mottos. Guys, we're recording this Sunday morning European time. So we are before the decision for the Sail GP in Marseille.
$1 million.
$1 million. So how do you win the $1 million?
15 minutes of fame this afternoon. Within 15 minutes, this could be the fastest anyone has ever made $1 million. Yeah. But it all comes down to that one match race. And having a look through the rules yesterday, basically the Aussies and Japanese have qualified for that match race, which means they don't have to sail in the fleet racing today. So there's going to be a bit of a dog match in itself for who's going to complete the podium, which is very close for that third position now.
You aware of all this, BP? Yeah.
And then,
mate, I am, yep.
And then, the two Aussie teams will be out there battling it out for $1 million. At least $1 million's going to Australia.
Japan, mate. It's Japan.
Yeah, Japan. Sorry.
Yeah. It's the. Let's be honest. It's the Wanji. It's the Wanji battle. The battle of the southwestern Toronto Lake Macquarie of southwestern Lake Macquarie, Toronto Wanji area. It's pretty much half the boat.
Yes.
Which is one of the most amazing breeding grounds of sailing talent. That little area. It's just incredible if you go back through the history there. Obviously. It is going to be quite the battle. Who's going to win? It's going to be impossible.
With those boats, doesn't it? It just comes down to quite a few different points that just getting on the foils, doing all that. It's one of those things, isn't it? And they're going to be both hammering each other.
Yeah,
pretty hard, I'd say.
Let's wonder if they'll have what they had yesterday, when that end of that third race yesterday, or race 6 technically on their thing, where they had the small jib up, the small foils on, and there was about 2 knots of wind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, forecast for 20 knots, and they're stuck under a big cloud all day. Well, certainly for that race 6 rather. So
crazy. Well, we're excited.
It'd be a pity actually if it came down to that. Yeah. Like the final $1 million race, and it was a drift off.
No, I think it'll be. Let's hope for wind. And there'll be one hell of a dial up at the start. They're going to be into each other like crazy, and it'll be really, really interesting. It'll be tight. It'll be tough. It'll be a good watch. I reckon it'll be good. $1 million is worth it.
Oh yeah.
All right. Other news. This was a shock. During the week. Malcolm Page has been dropped as the coach of the US Olympic sailing team. Complete shocker. Did you guys expect to hear this week?
Well, certainly
did not expect to hear it.
Certainly not after some of the discussions and a few people who know Malcolm well, like what they said about him, and to actually see this come across was,
yeah,
that's a not only a shock, for us and for people that know Malcolm, but the US sailing team.
Yeah,
like they didn't perform that well in Enoshima. Sounds as though the funding is very, very limited.
Yeah.
So they've gone from the powerhouse of Olympic sailing
a
few years ago to something now which, it's not looking that good.
So the chief operating officer went, and then Pagey was eased. We don't know, but if you hear from the CEO, he said nothing, so he gave nothing away. But I had a little email exchange with Pagey the other day, and he didn't want to talk. I offered for him to come on. We're pretty good mates, so I thought we may have a chance, but I didn't want to push it, and he sounded pretty down.
So you're saying that it was fairly unexpected. I mean, from the write-up I got, it sounded very very abrupt and very sort of cat and mouse. It was almost like there's something going on there, isn't there?
Shame. It's a shame. Pagey is he's a true legend. Obviously, the benefit for the rest of the world is that somebody else gets to pick up Pagey in a coaching role, and they will shine. Absolutely shine.
That's a pity for you, Jordan, being the world's super coach. They've got another one out. They've got some competition.
No, he's a genuinely good coach. Let's just hope for the best. Pagey, we'll get him on. Pagey, when things are cool, we'll probably get him on in 6 months or something and have a bit of a mate-to-mate chat where we can have a laugh about everything.
Yep.
But best of luck to you, bud. We're all good fans. BP, Bicey, in Australia, little country down southern hemisphere, had a big lottery. We asked last time, there was 100 million going off, and I think a few of us put our hands in the pocket to buy a ticket. We've had another one where it jacked to 150 million. So the question is, we talked about what we'd do on our dream, what boat, how we do it. You remember that, BP? I do. Would it change if you had an extra 50 million in your pocket? Would you change what you do?
Maybe go around the world 3 times.
Yeah, well, I think my house would just get bigger, right?
Nah, you know what I do?
And my wave pool that you guys would be coming, because I was staying on the top of the mountain. I had lake on one side and the beach on the other. Right? And I was watching you guys sail past.
That's right.
And then we did mention that I had a wave pool in the lake. So I guess now we've gone from sort of 3-4 foot sort of nice waves to maybe pipeline double overheads.
I'll be watching, drinking a beer, all right?
Well, what I was going to do, remember...
The funny part is if that was the case, I'd be sitting there having a beer too. I wouldn't be out there in double overheads.
Yeah. So the wave pool was one. We're still going to get the wave pool. But what I reckon I'd do differently now is I was going to get like a 50-foot trimaran, I think it was, or cat, but whatever I get, and then sail around and go surfing everywhere. I reckon what I'd do now, if I had an extra 50 in the pocket, is I'd get a couple of my mates the same thing, and we'd just race. We'd race around and because you could get bored going by yourself. You've got to have your mates along.
Yeah, I think I'd probably invest all of mine. Just ready to, double it. Yeah, right.
I couldn't think of anything worse than sitting there watching, counting your money while you've got that much money in it. Oh. Anyway.
I just love it. If I had an extra 50 in my pocket.
Yeah, extra 50 mil.
Well, up until Thursday night, I thought I did, but apparently not.
You always have that. You always have that dream, don't you? But again, as I said when we talked about this last time, you've got to be in it to win it, and that's unfortunately I'm never in it.
Well, guys, there is something you can do if you do win it. Have a listen to this, boys. Some big news. Big news. We talk a lot about racing on here on Barker Radio. It's all about yacht racing, sailing racing, dinghy racing, the whole thing. But there is some big news happening in the world of cruising. Bossy, have you picked up
I actually think the Secret Pro picked this up a while back.
Is that right?
I think it was episode 7. he mentioned that something big in cruising is coming. And I think it has landed on our doorstep.
Well, right now, sitting in the room with us is Stef van Zand, who is the principal behind a new event, the World Yacht Rally. Stef, welcome to Bacarati. It's great to have you, my friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good to be here. Listened quite a lot to what you guys did, so I'm honored to be in that line of famous sailors.
We love it too. We love it too. Now, Stef, tell us, well, not the elevator pitch, but the big idea. What is the World Yacht Rally?
World Yacht Rally is actually was based on a friend of mine who successful businessman, and he wanted to stop working at 50, 57, 58. And he said, I'm going to sail the world, but actually I don't have a boat and I don't know how to sail. Can you help me get there in time, let's say in 2 years' time, on what to do? And then I did a bit of research, and actually the only thing out there, if you wanted to be helped, was the Ark. Or he had to buy an oyster for the oyster rally. But the Ark is the most, let's say, common, and they do a fantastic job already for decades. But when I saw that, I I thought, well, there's sort of a gap in the market, at least at the premium level. So that's where I combined, let's say, this conclusion with the knowledge that there's a steep inclination in the luxury segment. And those two combined with our past at the Volvo Ocean Race, I thought, okay, this might be something. And that's where we started thinking about yacht rally around the world. And that was exactly 1 year ago, actually, beginning of October.
Instead of going to all that trouble, have you heard much about Jordan Spencer, the world's super coach? He could have actually, he could have actually just got your mate and taught him everything he knows, being the super coach.
I like where Stef's gone, though. The World Yacht Rally is a great thing. So let's just talk about exactly what it is, Stef. It's what differentiates it from Ark and the Oyster?
Ark has a different level of services than we provide, but most of all, they have a shorter time of going around the world. And I read a lot about sailing around the world, and one of the main things of feedback that the sailors gave was anything around or under 2 years is pushing it. Especially when you're in the South Pacific or Southeast Asia, then that's the parts where you don't come there very often. And once you're there, you want to stay there for a long time. So we made it 30 months. So that's a big difference. Another different thing is that I think we have a lot of cities involved. So a lot of metropolises instead of just blue water. So it's a combination of that. And as mentioned, we've got a different service level. And I think one of the most distinguishing one is the charter option, which we're working on at the moment. That means actually that we're in conversation with one of the major brokers that if an owner is not able to sail parts of the rally or needs to get out, I realize that 30 months is a long time. If you want to go out for 4 months, 2 months or whatever, then you've got the possibility to bring your boat into a charter pool, which is all sorted and arranged for and marketed for by one of the major charter brokers in the world, and you can sort of leverage your entry fee. That's I think those are the main differences.
All right. So from the perspective of the organising of this event, this is your idea, it's your baby. There's a lot of work you've done. You've brought this to the market. It's something you've done an amazing amount of work. Have you done it all by yourself, or what's the story?
All by myself.
Sounds as though you need actually a few people to help you out now and then.
Yeah, I would. I was looking for a few good guys and ended up with the two of you.
And
Jack,
of course, Jack Lloyd,
the great Jack,
who will keep an eye on us.
Yeah, well, to be honest, Jack has been an absolute great help already since. I mean, the conversation started with Jack a year ago.
Yeah,
and the two of us have had countless Skype meetings on the routing. We involved Ken Campbell for how to specifically make the route work within the existing weather patterns. And Jack has been instrumental to where we are now, and very happy that he's on board and still on board.
Yeah, Jack's a legend. Big fan of the podcast, by the way. And he is. I think he's going to tip Prince Harry off his perch to become the actual patron of the Ginger Challenge.
Good point.
That great Ginger Challenge.
Yeah, so no, I guess we had to declare that early on. We just wanted to say that Jack Lloyd is part of it, Stef is the leader, and Nick and I have come on board to work in advisory roles. We are directors of the World Yacht Rally because we believe in what your vision. And so the vision is this: for the person that has the boat, there's a family, let's say a couple. One definitely wants to do that around the world. Maybe the other is not so sure. And so from that perspective, they need some sort of support and reassurance. And the reassurance that the World Yacht Rally provides is that the course is planned by the experts, the best weather experts in the world.
Exactly.
Based around all the known weather systems.
Yep.
There is time to cruise in every location. We're going to, 16 locations? We're going all around the world.
Yeah.
That the security is provided. So when we go to a location, we have security forces, the same groups that we used in the ocean race, will be providing security. It's the same. We'll provide a medical kit on the boat so that if something happens,
and
we have
training.
And the training how to use it, and 24 hours, 7 days a week medical service. So if something goes wrong, straight onto the phone, complete reassurance, we can take care of that. There'll be weather routing each day. When they turn up into designated ports, the service team will go over the boat and fix minor issues.
Your berthing is arranged for at least 3 days at arrivals. Same applies for departures. There's another 2 days arranged for. So that's all sorted.
So all the administration's taken care of for you, and then servicing team goes over the boat. We'll have partnership. We have partnership agreements with major suppliers, so that you will probably pay less than you would if there's any extra expense required. We'll do the normal servicing, a bit of sail repairs, a bit of things like that if we can. But you'll have complete confidence that your boat is ready to go every time you set off to sea.
I think one other big part of the security is it's a little daunting for mum and dad to jump on their boat and go across the Atlantic, not to mention even a professional crew, but the fact you can actually do it with another 20 or 30 boats. Like if something does go wrong, they are your closest friends, and to have them close by. And that might be the difference to actually have people make the decision to go around the world instead of being stuck in the med for the rest of their life.
I guess what differentiates it from the rest of any other event is that whole level of involvement. It's the same sort of thing that we did with the Volvo Ocean Race. What we did for the race teams, we're providing that sort of the safety training, the medical training. We'll have the servicing level, and
that's what we're getting a lot of response in Cannes and Genoa. And that's what my approach is as well, that everything the four of us learned in the past decades on the Volvo Ocean Race and the network we built up, now we make available for an amateur market, which is fantastic. I mean, all those suppliers that are sort of over the moon to be involved, that are very relevant to actually sailing around the world, are now sort of available for probably way better pricing than you would ever get as a consumer within the platform. So I think that's one of the main benefits of participating in this rally.
So you get to go and live the dream with complete certainty and surety.
Exactly.
You can be relaxed.
Yeah. You're unburdened. Yeah.
So, enough of the serious stuff here, blokes. I don't know about you, Jay. Don't know about you, Jay, but when I look through the pamphlet, for example, look on the website, www.worldyachts.com, and through the brochure, pretty cool places it's going to. Yeah. Now, but the serious question here is, any parties?
Yeah.
What's our party culture going to be?
Party culture is going to be wherever we can have a party, there will be a party.
Yeah.
Correct answer.
Well, I think that's maybe that's the main reason why we sort of are connecting some kind of competition to it, so we can have a party.
Yeah.
So we can have a prize giving and find our way to the bars.
Yeah. Well, so we've spoken to all sorts of major alcohol suppliers and
beer supplier. Bolt-on Baccarati lager. Here we go.
No. In genuine, that's obviously part of it, but we've been in conversation. So we're going to have these really cool ideas, parties, and adventures you can go on and do all sorts of things. So it's going to be a unique experience. It's going to be wonderful.
Absolutely. So what we're also doing from a business point of view, we're connecting all the relevant brands to the platform. We're in conversation with quite a few wharves and yacht brands who are interested to sort of step in and get their clients enthusiastic about the plan, and they can market their product or do presentations or run an event in, say, Singapore, Auckland, wherever, and that works quite well.
Yeah. The other thing, you said, we can charter the boats out and you can generate revenue from your boats. But say you're not confident with your sailing ability, we can provide the best sailors in the world on the boats as well. We've got those agreements in place.
We've got a great crew pool for, I think from the most professional level to just a few deckhands. And that's something I think you guys bring to the party as well. That pool of professional sailors.
Yeah.
Actually, so one thing we kind of learned in the Volvo Ocean Race is that the actual best part of the race is actually in between the legs. So do you think that culture will carry on?
I'm afraid so, yeah.
Look, so it's important to understand. So you've got to go to the website and see how it's laid out, but there's the ocean crossings, and we provide a huge amount of time to cruise at each location.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So one of the ideas, if I'm looking at myself, I think I'd be happy to cross the bigger parts in the fleet. But once you're there, I'd like some time for me and my family to cruise around. So most locations actually have this ability. So when we're down in the Caribbean, you've got about 10 weeks to cruise for yourself or go home or whatever you want to do. And we'll reassemble again at a certain moment and a certain time and go on to the next leg. So that's how it's built up also in the South Pacific, also around New Zealand, Australia and Indonesia.
Yeah. So it starts November next year?
Yeah, November 2020. We've got another slot for 21.
Yeah.
And looking at the response at the moment, I think 2020 will be is very valid.
Yeah. The other thing I think that's going to happen and be a major drive for us, like being Australian and New Zealanders, I reckon there's plenty of people in the Southern Hemisphere that order their boat from Europe, do a bit of time in the Mediterranean, then sail at home. Yeah. And this is the perfect thing for them. I reckon we're going to get a huge number of people want to do that because we're going to some of the coolest places and we've done all the planning. Some places we can't even pronounce. It's going to be great.
Mate, you'll be all over it. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that.
Mate, exciting. This is super exciting. And like I was saying, when you're checking out some of the destinations, it's pretty cool. And it may force me into retirement to be part of the actual World Yacht Rally from a one perspective or another.
Well, we're in. We're in. We were blown away by it. So it became, Jack Lloyd obviously whispered in our ear and said, "Come on board." And your vision is just fantastic, and that you've been to Cannes, now you're in Genoa. The response from some of the yacht manufacturers, from the brokers, from the potential clients has been astronomical. People are loving it.
And I was blown away by how positive everyone is about the rally. And actually, we've got a first enlister. So we've got a Swan 65 signed up.
Pretty much day one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, is it Sayola, from 1973, the ocean race? Or is that reserved for Don McIntyre's global race?
That's reserved for him.
Yeah, so, and then I think we've got another one coming this week, so like 2 weeks. Yeah. I think there's another one coming, so we might actually sell out if people don't get onto it quickly.
Is there a maximum?
Yeah, we've got a cap of 35, just to have sort of the span of control for a first rally. We might, for a second one and a third one, we might move that up to 40, 45. But there's a cap of 35 and a minimum required of 22.
Yeah, because the break-evens, it's got to be financially worthwhile.
Yeah.
I mean, because everyone's sinking money into this. So, but it's, I guess we had to declare our interest. We wanted to talk about this because we believed in it. We have to declare our interest. We are actually involved in the company, and we genuinely think it's going to be fantastic. Otherwise, we wouldn't be involved. Yeah. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Look, I'm excited, and I was in Cannes, lucky enough to be there with Stef. I did nick off a little early, but the response that we had from the people walking past the stand, a few of them actually knew already, and we only really had a soft beginning to the company and launched the website 2 weeks before. But some knew about it, and some who didn't know about it, you can see their mind ticking over and go, hang on, this is going to be cool. This is going to be good. So, yeah, I'm excited.
So if you're based in Europe, where will people be able to find you next to have a chat to you specifically or us about it? Where's the next chance for people to meet with you face to face?
Face to face. Well, at the moment we're based in Amsterdam.
Are you going to any boat shows again? So we're in Genoa at the moment.
Yeah. Well, at least Mets.
Mets.
And we're looking at either Annapolis or Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all three of us will be in Mets.
Yeah.
We probably can revisit this conversation. Are we going to Mets, boss?
Going to Mets, mate. It's like a yearly ritual. And the Heineken factory at the moment, they're just like, come on in, boys, bring it in.
It's around the corner, actually.
What are we drinking right now? So people can go to the website right now.
Yep.
We'll start. We've sort of kept it quiet. Now we're going to start sending out the press releases. Yep. They'll be able to catch up with us in Mets and talk about it. So if they're listening in and want to be part of this, they can come and talk direct. Website, but just jump on board.
Exactly. All contact details are on the website, so it shouldn't be hard to find us.
Excellent. Mate, thanks for stopping by.
Once in a lifetime.
Once in a lifetime.
Love it.
Time for a mixed grill.
Thank you.
Oh, we're idiots, aren't we?
Yep, confirmed.
Oh, it's just going to go downhill from here. BP, what did you think? Excited, mate?
Sounds like a whole heap of fun. I'm assuming Karate is going to be broadcasting from all these stopovers.
For sure, mate. We'll be doing... there's a lot of work going into it. Obviously, we pre-recorded that, so that's why you didn't hear BP's voice. We're good to hear. Gentlemen, we've got a question here, a note. I think Bicey wrote this. The Australian Olympic selectors have gone out on a limb. Why, Bicey? Why?
Well, first of all, they've named Matt Belcher and Will Ryan in the 470, believe it or not.
Already?
Well, I was going to name it back in about 2013.
Yeah. What a risk.
But what they have done,
they
have named Matt Wern as the laser representative, whilst Tom Burton, the current world champion
and gold medalist,
is not in. But they've named it very early. So I'm not sure why it was named so early, whether there's the battle still continues or they wanted to just concentrate on one person. I'm not sure.
Because I know Tom was sort of going in and out a little bit. So he'd put in efforts for major events. And so maybe Matt's been more consistent or something. But, but Matt was second to Tom at the last Worlds.
Yeah.
I
mean, Matt is ranked number 1 in the world. Tom number 2. But Tom's the current holder of the World Championship.
Yeah, and he has sort of been...
Yeah.
He hasn't been doing it as much as he would in the past, but... he's still got the form, having won the world. So interesting. But then Matt Wern beat him. If we just looked at the Japan World Cup, Matt got second and
Tom got fourth.
Fourth, yeah.
So yeah, and they plan to announce the rest of the team early next year. So it's an early announcement.
What do you think, BP?
Well, I think they just got to go on current form, I suppose. I mean, it is an early announcement, you're right. There's obviously reasons behind it, of which we probably don't have much power to change.
I wonder if we're going to go back. Remember the 88, 92, all those Olympiads where we had all the court cases? I wonder if those days are coming back.
We'll keep a close eye on the socials, see if we can pick anything up.
While we're talking lasers, just confirmed 2024 will be in lasers. Anybody care now?
Yeah. Here we go again.
Okay, move on. BP, you had a cracker discovery during the week. You found that bit of footage. You found that bit of footage which we've got up on the Facebook page about the beer commercial.
The Tui's ad.
The Tui's ad.
I have got to absolutely extend on this conversation. Now, for those of you who don't know, you've got to go to the barkarati.com site and see this advert. Now, this advert was done late 70s for the Sydney Hobart. And for the Australians, it's a very common theme. I feel like a Tui's or two. Mm-hmm. Tui's being an Australian beer. Now, I took that video into the Palace, which happens to be a little watering hole for us yachties. And none other than my good mate Garda, who gets mentioned quite regularly on the show. And at that same point, he was given a magazine from another guy, unorganised, from the 1970s, which had those two boats in it. And I'm sitting there going, what's going on here? And he's looking at a magazine and I'm showing him a video, completely separate, not organised. Anyway, Gardo, turns out, was on the other boat, not the one that the boat was filmed on, but the actual other boat in the background. And he goes, "That's me. I'm there. I'm on that boat." And he was going through all the names in the video, and he was just laughing. Anyway, yes, I did. It was a very funny find.
Very funny find. We laughed and laughed. And, of course, Bossy and I, while we're together, we work very, very hard, and then we take a little bit of time out to have a lot of fun. And we've been, obviously, Barkarati Lager, Barkarati Beer. We've been thinking about our own marketing campaign, and we've been inspired, BP, and we've come up with the marketing song. You haven't heard this. Have you heard about this?
Here we go. Are you ready? I haven't heard it. There's a lot of things I haven't heard on this show.
BP and the rest of the world, this is our first idea for a marketing theme song for Barkarati Beer. Are you ready? And
I'm ready.
How stupid are we? We didn't include the musician. Here we go.
Oh, God, here we go.
How do you feel? 3 days at the wheel, taking on the sea and sun. How do you feel? Working ropes and steel, and there's no rest for anyone. How do you feel when they ride on your keel as if the race had just begun? How do you feel when the spinnaker fills and you're flying high on a winning run? How do you feel when the gun and the cheers tell you you're first home? How do you feel? How do you feel?
I feel like a Barkarati beer. A Barkarati beer.
Barkarati draft.
I feel like a
Barkarati Pilsner.
Barkarati beer.
Barkarati tequila. It just flows so nicely.
Can I say we nailed it? We nailed
Pretty
it.
much. Hey, just leave the music stuff to us from now on, eh?
Guys, in all seriousness, was that one take?
Oh, yeah, one take. We just do everything in one take.
Believe it or not.
Just polished.
We think we're geniuses.
Yeah, I might just. I do suggest a bit of reverb, but we can work on that. We can work through that.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get a crowd response to see if anyone actually likes it. If they think we should run with that, but we'll be pitching that to the brewery company
To
when
the
we
executives.
meet them. Yep. See if they how they like that. Probably won't stay as is.
Love it. Yeah.
Oh, we giggled. We giggled and giggled. Any secret pro news?
Had a couple come across the desk this
cool.
week.
Oh.
There will be a Maxi 72 on the Australian shorelines at some point in time coming up.
Yes.
And there may be one of the great boats leaving our shorelines. Word on the street, Comanche's up for sale.
Comanche is up for sale. Secret pro news. Don't hold it against us. It's not us saying it. It
may or may not be true.
Yeah, it is alleged.
100%
Allegedly.
serious. 42% of the time.
Jeez. Hey, well, let's pull that back, please.
Yeah.
I tell you, that song would have changed that percentage. Wouldn't it?
On results, they had the New York Yacht Club Invitational, which is like, I guess you send your best team from your club and they all go over to New York and race on the IC37. So the New York Yacht Club has 20 IC37 race boats, purpose-built, one design in every way, standardised rig tune, standardised sails, prepared by the club. So you just rock up and go, basically. You can't do anything to them and you just sail. And who won?
Stand Up Australia.
Yeah, and high fives. Michael Dunstan.
Yeah. The Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron took the win out. So led by Guido, our mate Guido Nettis, and his tactician Tom King, who is Tom King for, speaking of 470s, gold medalist back in 2000. And
Michael
world
Dunstan
champion.
on the main as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a good team.
Yeah.
No wonder they won.
That was.
Yeah.
It's some pretty cracking photos come out of there as well. They have to all supply a spinnaker with the flag on there, and so there's this really lovely shot of them coming downwind, all in formation with the Aussie flag leading the way.
Yeah.
So that was. And I'll tell you what, it's all talk in our great club here at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. The format, along with that, and also the one that we talked about last week with Chapo, the fleet racing idea of having these invitationals. It seems to be gaining some pace. So I'm thinking about putting forward the Barcarati Regatta in the CYC of Australia.
How about we just form our own yacht club, Barcarati Yacht Club?
That's it.
We can enter anything we like.
Jesus. Just on fire today.
Let's just do one thing though. Can we keep the memberships at a sort of reasonable price? Because I tell you what, the old memberships, they're going through the roof.
Yeah. Round the grounds, boys. Anything we really want to touch on? The one BP, you've got a whole list of them, but go on, hit us.
Look, I'd really love to do one. I just want to do one if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Let's just turn my computer on here. Would you believe it? Just 1 second as I do this. I want to touch on the Fast 41 ton Cup in the UK. A fantastic class that is obviously promoting that size of boat, and just quickly won at Girls on Film second, and today. Well, this is today. There's one more day to go, so they're very close to take that out. Jubilee's go battling in for third. But one thing that I noticed, and this is quite funny, I looked at the way they'd written the results up for the first 2 days, and the way they've done it, and it made me laugh, and I thought I'd just pass it on to you. So they've got the boats here all in the on the table as you do with the results, etc. And they've got the last names first of the skippers. So, for example, Ran is Zentrum, Nicholas. Okay, then we move down. It's got Girls on Film, Morton, Peter. Nothing funny about this, but it gets a bit funny from here on down. Jubilee, Dickon, Tony. Then we get to Elvis, Engelbert, Flip. Moving on down to 42 South, we've got Gillen, Guy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Zephyr is Cowie, Steve.
There you go.
And rolling up the end of the fleet is Redshift with Fishwick, Ed. So,
yeah, it's a bit strange, isn't it?
Had a bit of a giggle at that and thought I'd bring that up. So today, obviously, Ran is battling out to hold on to first. Girls on Film looks in for solid second, but there's a three-way battle between Dick and Tony, Engelbert, Flip, Gillen, Guy, Cowie, Steve, and Fishwick, Ed, all trying to come in for third.
Cool.
I like it.
There you go. Righto. Anything else, guys? Because I'm going to do the just tell everyone how to get in touch with us. Anything else that's on your minds?
All clear from my side.
All good.
So if you do want to get in touch with the old team here at Barkarati, at Barkarati on Instagram, on the Facebook page, and www.barkarati.com is us. And so good times indeed. Cool. I've got to answer the Apple question. Do you guys remember that one?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the Apple question, if you tried a new variety of apple every day, how long would it take you to try every single variety? The answer? More than 20 years. There's 7,500 varieties of apples. Who'd have thought?
You'd be damn sick. You'd be damn sick of apples, wouldn't you?
Yeah. An apple a day, they say.
Yeah.
We'll have 7,500 of them. Thanks.
Random fact for you boys. In the 1928 Olympics, Australian sculler Bobby Pearce stopped rowing to let a family of ducks pass. His opponents ended up with a 5-length lead in the final, and 1,000 metres, Pearce pulled ahead by 30 seconds, not only winning gold but setting a games record. So,
what was his opponent rowing? An optimist?
Oh, dear. Who knows? That's pretty cool, though. I discovered that one as I did my little patrol around. I thought, that was interesting. Question for you, everybody. Which European country has the most earthquakes for Europe? So, which European country is having the most earthquakes? That's our question of the week. See if anyone can come up with a good answer.
I might go sit in the toilet, just in case.
Gentlemen, it was a cracker. Very happy to be doing this. This is as much fun as a man can have, I reckon, without getting arrested.
That happens.
See you, BP.
No comment. See you later, guys.
See you, mate.
All right. See you, team.